I don't believe that removing the service chiefs is a solution to any of the problems that we have talked about completely. It's very far away from the solution. Very, very far away from the solution. Let me tell you, there is no one that is qualified. There's no one that will be called upon to be Chief of Army Staff today, or Chief of Air Staff, or Chief of Defense Staff, or Chief of Naval Staff that is not in a commanding position today. That means that whoever is going to become the Chief of Army Staff is among the top hierarchy of the military today. What do I mean? If you are blaming the Chief of Army Staff or Chief of Air Staff or that things are not working well, you might as well also blame the principal officers, because the Chief of Army Staff is one person that sits in one place and gives instructions and directives for things to be carried out. Now, one of the persons who is supposed to carry out instructions is the one who is going to become the Chief of Army Staff, or Chief of Air Staff, or Chief of Naval Staff. So you're actually not going anywhere. Having said that, the issue for me is that if we can argue, and I think we can argue correctly, that the fact that the service chiefs have outstayed their tenure provides a reason for them to be changed, so that there's morale is boosted in the service, because the objective of every person in arms, in the Army, the Air Force, or Navy, is that one day I'll become Chief of Air Staff, I'll become Chief of Naval Staff, I'll become Chief of Army Staff. And therefore, as long as these people have reached the peak of their career, they have completed their tenure and are set out in the laws, and you have not removed them, you are stunting the careers of other people. That is quite legitimate. But that you bring new service chiefs and there will be a dramatic change in what is happening, I'm yet to see that. I don't think that is possible. There could be some things, different ways of doing things. And don't forget, when General Hejrika was Chief of Army Staff, there were complaints about him too. When Minima took over, there were complaints about him too. So that there are complaints about Buratai, Tukur Yusuf, is not a strange thing. It's a normal thing. But what I think that we should be doing is to encourage the president to allow processes to work, which is what he promised us. That if these people's tenure has ended, please let them go. Let new people who are aspiring to be in those positions be allowed to provide their own service too. And that way you will keep the service intact, because the service needs to be intact. The service, people need to have high morale to be in the service. And the dream of every person who enters NDA is to become either Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, or Chief of Air Staff. Now, the fact that these people have stayed means that there are definitely sets that none of the persons in their group would have held those positions, and that is no good for the morale of the military. Boko Haram fight, the fight against Fulani headsmen, the fight against the bandits in the northwest are not purely military fights. They are societal, they are political, they are economic. And if we approach it only from the military side, kinetic force, for instance, let me tell you, when the military, and I think both Hejrika and Minima were doing their best trying to suppress the Boko Haram in Maiduguri, Borno elders whose spokesperson was a former chief of air staff, came to say that they were killing, that the army, the military were committing genocide against their young people. Yes, more than once. They even led a protest to the villa to President Jonathan that Borno, that the Boko Haram, that the military was killing their children. So it's a very delicate balance, which is why I said we have to go back to the beginning. We have to go back to the roots of this problem. What is giving birth to young people as young as 10, some less than 10. For instance, I lived in Borno for 2 years, and my landlord was executed by, I understand, a 12-year-old boy. A 12-year-old boy went to his house asking for money, and because he didn't have money to give them immediately, by the time he gave them the money, they said that he made them suffer, and they shot him to death. What is giving birth to young people doing that? That is what we should address. That is the only reason that, for my mind, that is the major reason that will lead us to an end to Boko Haram. But now we're just pretending. And I assure you that if we go the rate we're going, 20, 50 years, we will still have Boko Haram.